I was raised in the Midwest, and I grew up in Missouri. Grew up in a little town where there's nothing going on, and there's a population of maybe 200 people. My mom did the best that she could, but we were fairly poor growing up. And one of the things that she did was she would send my sister and I to church. She never would really come with us, but she would send us to church. So we were familiar with God as kids, and as I was growing up, I knew about God, but I didn't really know God because I didn't know the full gospel. So I grew up with that. I grew up being sent to church, but deep down, I just had this low self-esteem, and I had this low self-worth that actually caused me to develop this belief that I would die young. I never saw myself living to, get a career or get a house, the American dream. I never saw myself living past, a certain age. When I moved out, I was 18, and this was in 2011, right after I graduated from high school. And when I got my own apartment, I realized that there's nobody around to tell me what I can't do. I started experimenting, and I started getting into drugs. And at this time was whenever I began to get introduced to the wrong crowd. It started with just smoking weed. They call marijuana the gateway drug, and it truly is. And I started off just smoking weed, and I didn't drink at this time, but I was developing friends who were, pressuring me to do other drugs, and I was fornicating, and I was just, not living a very clean lifestyle. This crowd and the drugs and just smoking marijuana really became my identity. And I still had this feeling deep down in me that I was going to die young, because I just didn't feel like I was worth living. And I continued to live with that through the years. And my life as an adult just immediately went into the wrong crowd, and it was declining very quickly. And so that was in 2011, whenever it started, when I moved out. And I lived that way for 8 years. I just was in the wrong crowd, parties, raves, the bars, and putting myself in dangerous situations. And at any given time, I could have been pulled over and sent to prison for the amount of drugs that was in my car. Or I could have been hurt, just by the situations that I would put myself in. But looking back now, I know that God had his hand of protection. But I continued to run from God. I didn't want to have anything to do with God. I didn't want to talk about God. I just developed this hatred for God. I didn't want to even talk to people about God. If they were talking about God around me, I would tell them, please, can you not do that? It makes me uncomfortable. Or I would ask them to leave, or I would leave. That's how much I did not want anything to do with God. I was about as far away as I could get, or trying to. And I lived this way for, like I said, 8 years. And in 2018, I continued to smoke weed and drink, but I wanted to get my life together. The only drugs that I never really tried, because I didn't want to get completely hooked, was I never tried heroin, and I never tried crack cocaine. But just about every other thing, hallucinogens, the pills, just the alcohol. I tried just about anything because I wanted to fit in, and I wanted to know what my identity was. So I got this apartment, and it was very nice, and I was very proud of myself. I was getting things together. And I was still drinking. At this point, I had been drinking for 4 years, and I had been smoking weed every single day for 8 years. And I had a good job. At the job, I met this guy. He was a customer, and he would continuously come in, and I became friends with him. We were friends for a while, and then we started dating, and very quickly he moved in with me. And when he moved in with me, started off very good. It was like a dream. We talked about marriage. I never talked about marriage with anybody else. And like he would do sweet things for me, and he would, surprise me at work, and it was just, probably the best relationship I had ever been in. But he also smoked and drank, so he became my party partner, whatever you would call it, my partner in crime. And so we did these things together for months, and then I just started to notice there were some cracks in his story, and he started to get violent. He would throw things, he would break things, he would threaten me, he would push me, but I didn't really take it seriously because I was so in love. And in October 2018, there was something that happened, and I found out about it, and I knew it. I had proof, and I confronted him with this lie that he had told me, and it made him very, very mad. And at this point in our relationship, he had never escalated to the point of really physically hurting me. But this night, whenever I confronted him with this thing that he had done, he crossed that line. In this moment, he was so angry that he picked me up, and at this time, I only weighed like 120 pounds, which is 40 pounds less than I do now. He picked me up so easily, and he just turned me over on my neck and body slammed me into the ground, and he was trying to break my neck. And the first time it didn't do anything, so I got back up, and that just made him even more mad. And it was like a switch flipped on, and looking back now, I could just see like the demon in his eyes. He just wanted to kill me. He wanted to break my neck. So he did it a second time, and this time he didn't hold back. He did it with all of his strength, and he picked me up and he turned me over on my neck, and he slammed my neck into the ground. And when you're going down into the ground, and like whenever that's happening, I put my hands out to try to brace for the impact, but I know my hand hit the ground first because my wrist snapped and not my neck. And there I am, and I'm on the ground, and and my wrist is broken, and he sees me, and then everything changes, and he's like, "Oh, I'm so sorry," and he's like, "I can't believe I did this." And so what did I do? I lied to everybody. I lied to the cops, I lied to the hospital, I lied to my parents. I told every single person who asked that I fell down the stairs and that I broke my wrist that way. After he tried to kill me, I needed his help with everything because my left wrist was the one that was broken. That was my dominant hand, and I needed his help. And so this was a very degrading time in my life. I needed his help to shower. I needed his help to get dressed. I needed his help for everything. It was a really hard time, but I still loved him. I didn't choose any of this. After he had shown his real colors, and then he was still around, he started to get violent again. And I knew at this time, okay, he already tried to kill me. My wrist is broken. My apartment is destroyed. Really need to get out of this situation. So I had a friend who helped me, and she helped me go and get a emergency protective order against him. And that day, the reason why I had to go get that protective order is because he had come to my work and he was getting violent at work. And I had to hide from him that entire day until the cops came and escorted him away from my apartment. But he still knew where I lived, and to him it was just a piece of paper. So he continued to come around after this, and he was, harassing me and tormenting me, coming and banging on my door, telling me that he better hope he doesn't find me in here in my apartment, because he's gonna bust the door down and he's gonna kill me, and then he's gonna kill himself. And he would say things like, "I'm gonna shoot through these walls." And he sent people to key my car, to bust my balcony door. And finally there was a witness. There was somebody who saw it, and so he was actually taken to jail. And here I am at this point. This is like November, December of 2018. And I'm, sitting in my apartment and I'm looking around and I see there's punch holes in the wall. There's a bullet hole in the wall. My brand new TV is busted and is broken. My dishwasher is broken. There's cabinet doors in my kitchen hanging off the hinges. The bathroom door, the bathroom door is falling apart because it was the only safe place that I could go, and I would hide in there and he would, break the door. And my balcony glass door was busted. And, I just remember looking around, and I'm still drinking. I'm still an alcoholic, and even worse at this time because of everything that had happened with him. And I remember looking around, looking at my life and thinking, is this my life? This is not my life. I don't want it. I don't want to live anymore. Because if this is what it looks like for me to get my life together, then I don't want this. And after he had been sent to jail, I felt safe enough to tell my parents what really happened. And of course, my dad, when he found out, he had given me a gun for protection. But he didn't know what I was thinking and what I was going through. And so around January 2019, I had spent all this time alone in my apartment, really thinking about how much does my life even matter. And I was so depressed and I was so just emotional all the time. I couldn't go to work without crying randomly. I worked at a gas station, and I remember I would just be, ringing people up, and I would just be breaking down crying. I was so hurt. I was so broken. I didn't choose any of it, and it was hard. I, was really looking at that gun, and I wanted to end my life. I wanted to do it. Stop now, take this doubt out, save the blameless man from the sinner, help now. I'm reaching out. I believe you and I know your words are true, but I can get this out of my head. It's true, just like I turn around and I come back to you, but it pulls me back under and away from you. Change my heart, renew my mind. I remember one day in January, I had reached my breaking point. I had thought about it enough, and I had decided that, I didn't want to live anymore. And I had the gun on the desk, and I was just thinking, would anybody miss me? How long would it even be until somebody found me? But I was so broken, I just didn't care anymore. And I had a friend who knew what was going on, what had happened, and they came to check on me that day. Just coincidentally, they came and checked on me that day, and I didn't answer the door. I heard them knocking, and I did not answer the door. So they went and they told my parents that you need to go check on her because something's really wrong. And so my stepmom came, and I could hear her when she was knocking on the door. She was, saying my name, and I knew it was her, so I went and I answered the door. My little sister was there. And they were looking at me, and they were almost speechless. And I could tell, like, my stepmom didn't know what to do. Helpless, kind of. I know she felt that way. But the one thing that she knew she could do, she asked me, can I pray for you? And, I let her in, and I said, sure, whatever. You can pray for me. I was drunk, and I was crying my eyes out, and I didn't care about anything. And so when she asked if she could pray for me, I just said, sure, whatever. And if it was any other time, I would have said, no, I don't need your prayers and I don't need your God. Because I didn't think that I needed God, but I did. And she prayed for me. And it was a short prayer. And I remember after the prayer, I felt some words come out of my mouth that I never would have thought to say. I never in a million years would have asked her this on my own. But I felt these words come out of my mouth. And I asked her if she had a Bible. I said, do you have a Bible? And she said, yeah, of course. Here you go. Here's a Bible. I had this Bible and I realized, okay, if I'm going to end my life, I need to give this Christian God a chance. And so I started looking at the Bible and I started trying to read it, but I was still drinking so much. I would have alcohol for breakfast and I would eat maybe once every 2 or 3 days. And I started to pray. And I was like, God, if you're real, if you are still there, if you care, I need your help. And I was telling God and I was crying to God, even though I didn't know if he was listening. I was crying out to God. And I said, God, if you're there, I need you. I need you to come and save me. I need you to help me to stop drinking, because I know if I can read this Bible, this book, and then I'll find you in there. From the moment that I prayed that prayer and I really meant it, it was just a matter of days. It was maybe 3 or 4 days. And I woke up and I was free. I woke up and I didn't have any desire to drink. I didn't have withdrawals. I was freed from smoking marijuana. Everything changed after I prayed that prayer and I meant it. In January of 2019, after that, I prayed this prayer and he set me free. I realized, wow, okay, maybe God is real. I know, silly, maybe he's real after he set me free. But I still felt like I needed to analytically read the Bible. And now I'm suddenly able to, I could focus on the words in the Bible, but I still had this analytical mind where I wanted to find something that was true in the Bible. I found what I was looking for in the Bible. This book was written thousands of years before some of the history ever happened. And that sold me, that I knew God is real. There's no way that this book could be written if there was not a God. He set me free from alcohol. He set me free from marijuana. And not only that, but my demeanor changed. I stopped cussing. I didn't feel right whenever I would cuss. My vocabulary was clean. I started to dress more modestly. I was aware of so much more than I was before. I had friends who were not really my friends, and it was the wrong crowd, and they would continue to come around, and you know how the devil works. They would be offering me stuff, come and, do this with us and do this with us. But after this happened with God, I had the power and to say no. I didn't want to go and hang out with them anymore. Everything about me changed, and this just happened. It was just me and God in my apartment. I didn't go to a church and say some sinner's prayer. I prayed to God, and he came and he delivered me. And after I found what I was looking for in the Bible, I was sold out. I was already at the point in my life where I wanted to end my life. So God met me at the very bottom where I was ready to give it all up anyway. And so whenever he did this for me, I became sold out for Jesus. I realized, wow, this is what I was made for. This is why I was created. I was waking up every single day for a month straight with this excitement in my belly. If you've ever rode a roller coaster and you're just coming over the top and you're going down, the big drop, it was like that excitement in my belly. And I woke up with that from morning to night, every single day for a month straight. And I remember at 2 weeks, whenever it was 2 weeks into that feeling, and I was like, is there something wrong with me? But I was just too excited that, I had a new lease on life, and I found out that God was real, and, everything changed. I realized now, I received the Holy Spirit when I believed. I realized, after reading the Bible, I suddenly had so much time. I wasn't hanging around with the people that I was hanging with. I wasn't drinking. I wasn't smoking. And I had so much time. And all I did was read the Bible. I was reading the Bible for myself. And I saw in there I need to be baptized. And I didn't know what else to do. You know, I was a brand new baby Christian, so I started to go to church with them, and I was baptized with them into the church. That's kind of where a whole nother testimony comes in. My name is Jennifer Hoagland, and this is my testimony.
Yeah, I'm searching high and low for the righteousness to save a soul. I was lost until I saw your face. Righteousness has filled your eyes. I was trying to be better than, but I knew I couldn't do it on my own. I've been searching high and low